Hello ladies, gentlemen, and others. My name is Dan, the voice behind that Kaito Dan, and welcome to my reaction / breakdown, news update, so to speak, I guess, of everything, because we are here, finally, with the first trailer for Justice League X RWBY Superheroes and Huntsmen Part 2. That is still a wild long title, wish they had trimmed it down, but yeah, we are finally here with the first proper look at the second half of this wild crossover between DC's finest and the heroes of RWBY. But before we get into that, just a quick update of things on my end. Yes, I haven't put out a reaction yet to the Volume 9 OST. That has been recorded and I am editing it, but there's been some technical issues and also a lot of stuff offline that has made things a little bit slow, so apologies there. And also, I haven't actually covered part 1 since it came out. I have recorded a reaction for it, and I have started work on a review. I just not gotten around to it, unfortunately, for a lot of reasons. Though I promise you, before part 2 comes out, which we do know the date of, I'll get to that in a bit. But before that comes out, I will have a full review of part 1 and maybe a reaction as well, just sorting out a few things there sometime soon, so be on the lookout for that. But yeah, we are finally here with the first look at this second half of the crossover that I guess I could share a little bit of my brief thoughts on part 1. I very much enjoyed it. It is definitely what I would call a popcorn film. It's not something that is going to be like an absolute blockbuster film. It's not going to be like an absolute gangbuster of like a story or the emotions and stuff like that. But it's still very much something that leaves you entertained, mainly by the premise of seeing these characters cross over. And that was very much the case. I very much was entertained by a lot of stuff in it. Like, the action was really fun. I love the music, by the way. Great stuff there. And just seeing these characters that I do enjoy from both series interacting with each other was good stuff too. Especially the stuff with Jean and Jessica, and also RWBY and Superman, and even to some extent Bumblebee, Blake and Yang with Wonder Woman. Basically, there was a lot of good relationship stuff going on there, and seeing like some of the different themes and like similarities they all share being explored. That was some good stuff there. And like any good part 1, it did leave me wanting more. So I am very excited to get into this second half. So bear with me a sec. I'll get ready to start reacting to this trailer for part 2. All set to go. So let's get right into this. Count it down with me. 3, 2, 1. Do we have sound? Oh, there we go. And there they are, the Justice League of America. And there's Grimm already in the city. Black Canary, we know that she's a new one that we're going to be seeing in this. Yeah, there's spoilers, by the way, for part 1. That is involved in part 1.
I had the weirdest dream.
It wasn't a dream.
Ooh, who are you?
Then he got away.
And we got more digital world stuff going on there. Who is that guy in the background?
Someone smarter.
So,
I think that sounds like Travis Willingham there as well.
We need to find Team RWBY.
There they are, Team RWBY.
You know, it's bad all over, but why does it feel like they have it out for us?
They might remember you from last time or something. The new looks! And there's Jessica. Oh my god, love Ruby's new look with a ponytail. Really cool. And Yang's buff as hell. This looks really good. I'm liking this already. Seems to be just Team RWBY though. That's interesting. It'd be cool to see them working off the adults this time. Yeah, that's one thing of note. Blake doesn't have a cat ears. The C-Fei Long there, jeez. They've definitely amped up the Grimm here. Interesting. They're adapting. Whoa, that's a new green crystal on there. That is definitely a new Grimm. I'm excited for this. Ooh. I mean, I think that's the same voice as Kilgore. The epic conclusion. This definitely does look epic. I'm seeing some fantastic set pieces already. Ooh. There you go, our first look. And you know what? I am looking forward to this. It looks like it is going to be a lot of good fun. Let me just get back to it because it's just... I hate when YouTube does this. It skips to another video. So yeah, I didn't mention it in the video itself, but we do know the date for this is... There we go. It is coming out digitally on October 17th and on 4K Ultra and Blu-ray on October 31st. So a few weeks after the initial release. So October is going to be the next day we get some RWBY goodness. And just for this first look, I really enjoyed what is being set up here. Definitely carrying on from the same vibe of Part 1 where the Grimm are a huge threat affecting the world. It seems like we're still getting some more digital world stuff going on because there was like digital effects affecting the city. So I imagine the same thing that affected Remnant is being affected here. And getting more of Kilgore, who again, spoilers for Part 1, Kilgore was revealed as the main threat, or at least one of the main threats. That's the other thing. The second villain that seems to be working with him got teased, and I just want to see if I can get like a good... Yeah, I'm looking at this shot here of Flash. That definitely does not look quite... So, here's the thing. I think the other villain being set up is definitely a RWBY villain, because it makes sense to have one DC villain and one RWBY villain. And going off this, and what we see later on with that Grimm on the bridge that had the green crystal, I'm willing to think that the other character is Dr. Merlo from RWBY Grimm Eclipse. Because just looking at this flash shot, he's got a red eye. Well, he's got two red eyes, but like he's got a very distinct red eye on his left one, so to speak. And I remember Dr. Merlo, who, for those of you who don't know, he was the lead villain of the video game RWBY Grimm Eclipse. He was like a loosely canonical, it wasn't like strict canon to like the main series, but it's still like loosely attached villain for that game. And last I believe, events happened in that game where it seemed like he died. But I guess if you're going to bring in like a RWBY villain to play off into this non-canonical story, so to speak, in the same vein as Grimm Eclipse, Merlo would be a good one. The other reason why I'm saying it's probably Merlo is because the Grimm that we saw at the bridge, let me just jump to that, has a green crystal in its like stomach area. And Merlo used green dust, or it's like he had mutated dust to make mutated Grimm. And it seems to be the case of these Grimm here are mutating to adapt to the superhero's powers. So that would make sense, like it's like a new evolution of that initial idea from Grimm Eclipse being brought back and in a bigger way, which I'm very excited to see, because that was like a fun idea of mutated Grimm that wasn't explored again. Obviously, we've had some new variants of Grimm over the years, especially in recent volumes. But I'm interested in to see how this works out, and also like how this challenges the new characters, not new characters, but like challenges the superheroes and back in their adult forms after everything they went through in the Part 1, and of course seeing Team RWBY in this. One thing of note, I am a bit disappointed, it seems, that there is just going to be Team RWBY and not Team Juniper, like Jean, Ren, and Nora, or any other RWBY character involved in this. Which I can understand, because Part 1 is very much DC characters in RWBY, so now we're getting the flip of it, so it's RWBY characters in the DC world, and there's a more emphasis there. But I did really enjoy the camaraderie that they had through some of the characters, especially, again, like Jean and Jessica. That's a big one there. So to not see Jean back along with the others is a bit disappointing. Unless there's going to be, like, maybe an appearance at the end in the third act, something like that. That would be cool, at least to get some bit of fan service there, because I really enjoyed it. And it's also interesting as well that the only new superhero that we got was Black Canary. At least it seems from this trailer. The rest of the cast is pretty much the same superhero lineup that we had in Part 1. We had the Big Three, of course. We had Cyborg. We had Flash. Vixen is in there as well. But Black Canary seems to be the only new one that we're getting. And but otherwise, I'm excited to see these characters interact again with some of the new elements in there. I just would like maybe a bit of the new, some more new ones and some more of the RWBY cast. But for the RWBY girls that we have, obviously Team RWBY, I like their new designs. I really like Ruby's ponytail. I like Buff Yang, looks really cool. We didn't see a lot of Weiss in her new look, but I have seen it through the cover. She's got Mitten Asta is now changed into like an ultimate elemental gun. Weiss is packing heat now. That is wild to think of. One thing of contention I have seen people talk about is Blake not having her cat ears. And that is a bit of a weird diversion for that element there, because of course it's not just, oh, cat ears, it's part of Blake's race. It's part of her culture as a Faunus. We did see a little bit of her using some, like, superpowers. Like, it almost seems like she was casting black magic, so maybe she's like a black cat of sorts. So she could still have cat elements in her powers, but not so much her design, which we'll see as we get the full version, but it is something that I can understand why people are a bit irked by. But one thing I also want to discuss is the cast list, because thanks to Storming Z on Twitter, we do have the cast list for this part, and it is interesting because there's some returning voices from part 1. Obviously there are some notable changes for reasons that we can understand, obviously the age stuff with the superheroes. But yeah, let's get into that. So judging by this image, we got all of the returning RWBY cast, of course. We got Kara, we got Lindsay, we got Barbara, we got Aaron. In terms of the superheroes, from the clips that we had a little bit of in part 1, we did have Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman voiced by Troy Baker, Travis Willingham, and Laura Bailey in that like small flashback stuff, and they are confirmed to be returning here, which I think that's really cool. I'm perfect with those castings. Travis, Troy, and Laura are fantastic voice actors, and they are like a perfect trio to have as the big three for DC's characters there. We also have returning from part 1, apologies if I butchered these names, Ozioma Akaga as Vixen, True Valentino as Cyborg and Kilgore respectively. He did double duty there. Jamie Chung had a little bit of a voice role, I believe, in part 1 with the flashback stuff again, but she is the voice of Black Canary, and obviously we'll get a lot more of her in this part. And just from the snippet we had in the trailer, fantastic voice. I like the energy she's brought already to the role. I'm glad that Jeannie Tirado is back for Jessica Cruz as Green Lantern. I think she did a fantastic job there, and eager to see more. But going for this cast list that Z has found, there are some understandable exceptions of like the kid versions. We don't have Chandler Riggs back. We don't have Matt Wolf, who I believe did Bruce Wayne as a kid. But we do have a few... Well, one exception that is missing is David Errigo Jr., who was the voice of The Flash in part 1. He's not listed in this image, and I'm wondering if he's back as The Flash. They would have listed him, so that's probably going to be a new voice there, and it could be one of these ones I'll get into in a bit. We also have J. Michael Tatum listed, and he in RWBY is the voice of Klein, so we might get a little bit of Klein in this as well, kind of like how we had Tara Platt as Carly in part 1. There's 2 interesting names here that are brand new. The first of which is, apologies if I butchered this name, David Dasmalchian. Again, sorry if I get that wrong, but I know him for Polka Dot Man in the Suicide Squad film, which I really enjoyed, and he was a fantastic performer there. He's also done a lot of other stuff, including, I believe he was in the CW Flash, and it's possible that he could be Flash in this one if they don't have Flash from the part 1 back. That is a huge grab to get for that. But one other voice listing here that I'm very interested in is this one, Maxwell Friedman. I think that, if I'm right, that is Maxwell J. Friedman, otherwise known as MJF, from AEW, All Elite Wrestling, which is the wrestling company that is under the WB Discovery banner. So it's wild to think that the current world champion for that company is in a RWBY product. We don't know who his character is. He could be the new Flash, or it could just be like a small minor role or something like that. He could be the voice of the new bad guy, even though, oh god, what's his name? The voice of Lee from Walking Dead, and Pietro in RWBY. He was the voice of Dr. Merlot in Grim Eclipse. But it's wild to think that MGF is in a RWBY product. I wonder if there's going to be some promotion like that down the line. So that's really cool. Just as a wrestling fan, as a fan of AEW, as a fan of MGF, to see him in this is really cool. And just from the cast list as is, strong lineup. Again, a lot of the returning ones from part 1. Obviously, the RWBY girls, they knock it out of the park all the time. It's also directed by Kerry, Yisa, and Dustin from Rooster Teeth, so very familiar hands still on the works there. So yeah, overall, I'm very excited for this. It's probably going to be, just like part 1, a very much popcorn film. Just enjoying the usual stuff that you get from crossover films like this, where it's just the fun of these characters interacting. It's a toy box film, where you just see the toys mashed together and you have fun with it. So I'm eager to see how the RWBY girls handle with superpowers. I'm interested to see how their dynamics play off again with the superheroes when they're adults now. Again, it is sad that there's no Team Junior, at least for the moment, but we'll have to wait and see. And also interesting to see if this is the return of Dr. Merlot, because that is something that I would have liked to have seen at some point in some fashion. And hey, if it's as part of this, pretty cool. But yeah, I like what we're getting so far from the Grimm as well. Seems to be like adapting to the superheroes, and they're more of a challenge that way versus how they were in part 1, just as like a harder to beat threat. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to this. It's always good to have some RWBY goodness, and of course, right now we are desperate for it. And hopefully, if this does well, then we can get more of the main series. Hashtag Greenlight Volume 10. Please, 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 if you can support this product and many other RWBY stuff right now, it can give out the right message that we want more RWBY, and there is people who want that. So hopefully this does well and we all have fun with it. So yeah, that's what I can say for now. Again, this is coming out in October 17th, just to double check, on digital, yep, and October 31st for the physical release. So I'm looking forward to that, and yes, you can expect me to get a video on that part 2 and again part 1 when I get around to finally getting that out in due time. But for now, let me know what you guys thought about this trailer. What do you feel about the new designs for Team RWBY? What are you thinking about the villain, the Grimm? Are there anything that you're excited about? Are you sad to not see? And yeah, just tell me all your thoughts about this trailer in the comments down below. And while you're at it, hit the subscribe and bell buttons and tick the notification box to make sure you get every new video from me as they drop. And follow me on all my social medias for more updates on the channel, RWBY, and anything else going on that might have an interest to me and you. But until next time, have a good day or good night, and peace out.